Seatbelts.
Seatbelts.
Seatbelts. Here,
Overrated.
Here, depends on who you ask. I think most of the people that didn't wear one and got cannonballed out there with front windshield there would probably disagree.
I never forget one of the first times I ever went out in the cane fields was with a friend of my mentor, who's an older guy. He's a good old boy from Florida, and one of the last true Florida accents. I mean, the guy was probably in his 60s at the time, 70s at the time, and he said, "You got your seatbelt on?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Take that shit off, man. We go in a canal, you're dead." I was like, "Okay." Duly noted.
Oddly
Sound
specific.
logic, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Here we are. It's Monday night. I guess I'll do the intro stuff, I guess.
Well, I was making sure there wasn't a lag or a delay. I mean, that seems to be our standard intro.
My internet seems to be playing the game. It's doing the dance.
I mean, you sound good to me.
Oh, it's Monday night. We're here. Snakes and Stogies, episode 185.
Crazy, right?
Brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. You need a rack, you need a cage, you need both. You won't be disappointed. We say that, we mean that. If you use the code THN at checkout, you save yourself a little bit off the top. If you're in the general southeast region near North Georgia, we recommend you just go set the pickup option, save yourself a lot on shipping, and then go and pick up your stuff yourself and take it home and then enjoy it. What's Scott saying? You say that and you will lag to hell. Yeah, I probably did curse it. So,
well, I was worried about last week's intro, and I listened back on it, and it was crystal clear, despite you being completely digital to me. So,
did you hear me like just sitting there cursing my modem the entire time?
No, we didn't hear that. It just it was kind of like that bad prank that people do at McDonald's, where it's like, "I'd like," you know what I mean? That's kind of what. But then when I listened to the actual recording, it sounded fine. So keep going with the sponsors.
That's crap. I don't like that. Yeah, awesome cages, awesome racks. Did a little bit of rearranging of my room, so got plenty of hands-on time with mine. The Ackies are in a new residence, so I had to unstack everything, take the Ackie cage out, which ended up evolving into just rearranging the entire room. Of course, it was originally going to be like, I'll just take the Ackie cage out, put the the Gonyosoma cage there, back with some of the BioGs on it and the Persimmon and all that stuff. And I was like, this will be fine. And then it just morphed into, well, what if I move this over here? Will I have more space for these V70s over yonder? And it just like straight up my entire room layout has completely like flipped. So,
but imagine how bad it would be, or more difficult it would be, if you didn't have beautifully orchestrated black box cages.
This is true. It would look like an absolute garage sale.
Yeah.
Be like I'm rearranging my booth at the flea market. You know? So either way, they held up great. Katie multiple times as we were shifting things around, just commented on the build quality, because especially those XR16 racks, like when those things are full of bedding and snakes and stuff, like they got some weight to them. Those tubs and everything, man, they're hefty. So that was
it's actually a question I've been meaning to ask. Is there an option, if you get a black box rack, is it an option to get lids with your tubs so that you could remove every drawer for cleaning and storage and just put a lid on the animal?
Do they make lids for the Vision tubs?
I thought they did. I don't know.
I don't know. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, we'll have to investigate.
I'd imagine if they had one, it would be one that just snapped over the edge, because it's got the little handle on the front and stuff too. So maybe that would have probably made things a little bit easier. But it's done. I hate rearranging my room. I feel like I have to do it probably once a year, every other year. And every time it's like moving. It's just a pain. It's never something that's simple. It's a ridiculously long, drawn out process that usually ends up with me being frustrated. And wondering why I'm doing it in the first place. So, but I think I got a little more room now. It's a little more open. Room doesn't feel as cramped or sort of claustrophobic. So, but all of it does look good because it's blackboxcages.com. Check them out. Fulviusapparel.com. Also use the code THN at checkout. Got a Black Friday sale that I will be dropping here soon. It's a short week at work this week, so I'm planning to spend probably sometime tomorrow night and the following nights getting some new stuff added to the website and then getting the Black Friday sale stuff sort of going. It's not going to be anything too crazy, so don't get too excited, but it's going to happen. It's going to be a thing. Got some orders going out tomorrow. So use the code THN at checkout and you get 15% off of your order. That is for THN listeners and viewers like you. The only place you get that code is in our link tree when I have the link there and right here. So take advantage of it. Puget Sound Pythons, good people in the Pacific Northwest. They have a rather large season coming up. So you need to go and follow their morph market and see what they will have here in the next coming weeks. Sounds like they've been real busy getting things prepped and getting pairs ready and all that good stuff. So
'tis the season.
It is. And then, I mean, last but not least, the guys right below us there, Cold-Blooded Caffeine.
Whoa! What is that?
Ooh.
What? We make them full screen real quick. Oh, look at that! Look at that!
Hold on a second.
My arm's getting tired.
How do you work
the
damn
good
thing?
stuff?
There we go. Look at that bag.
Get the good stuff.
Oh, that label though.
I wonder who did that.
Oh, some rank amateur.
Awesome.
Nice.
Well, there it is, kids. Cat's out of the bag.
All right, we're done. Wrap it up.
There you go.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up. This has been episode 185 of Snakes and Stogies. But yeah,
Cold-Blooded Caffeine.
in the
Yeah.
house, in the heezy. What's up, boys?
What's
What's
up, guys?
happening, man?
It's been a minute.
I know it's good. It's good. We've been promoting without promoting, and obviously people can put two and two together that we were going to do a collaboration with you gentlemen, but
Yeah.
it is official. It is that what did we decide? It was the Snakes and Stogies blend. Is that what we're calling
Snakes and Stogies blend. Yep.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Yep.
Ah,
And it is officially live, so you can order it as of right this moment.
I'm popping the link in right now.
awesome. So yes, in case you guys aren't putting two and two together, we are joined tonight by Cold-Blooded Caffeine. Trey and McKendrick have been kind enough to join us this evening to promote the new Snakes and Stogies blend, something that we've been very, very excited for I dare I say weeks now, if not months, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I mean, it's been, months because we were talking about it before Daytona, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we pitched it before Daytona, and stuff comes up and happens, and things take some time to get ironed out, and here we are, ready to go.
That's it. Love it. So I had so the boys sent Smitty and I little taster samples for us to get a feel for what we're going to be getting, and man, I haven't drank that much coffee that quick. It's awesome.
Hey, my bag didn't last terribly long either. So
Yeah, yes. And
Good.
Scott, it is sweet and nutty, just like me. No, but what's crazy is I love that the bags have that valve on it, because I literally cut the box open and it just, when they say, oh, it punched me in the face with the aroma. No. This literally tickled and tantalized my senses.
Yeah.
I just remember getting a notification that UPS was sending me a package. And I'm like, who's sending me a package? Like, what is it? And it didn't tell me who. And I was like, what's going on? I was messaging some people like, are you sending me something? It was just, I was very confused because I was like, is this spam or is it real? And then it showed up and I was like, oh,
it's coffee.
there you go.
Yeah.
It was real.
It was real. Yeah. Yeah, but that, like you're talking about, Phil, the aroma, it's the fresh roasted difference. So, you're not going to get something like that with a grocery store coffee or something like that.
Yeah.
So this stuff is roasted fresh, and you're going to get that, you know, as soon as you open the box, it's going to hit you. One of my favorite things is taking it to like the UPS store or something, and the people working there will be like, "Oh, is there coffee?" Like you can smell it through the cardboard box. And they love it when we come to visit.
I mean, and I'm dropping off like every other day for the most part. So not only do I get it, you know, on the ride there, so my vehicle stays smelling like coffee, and then they know as soon as I walk in the door and they see those boxes, it's like get your nasal passages open, because the fresh smell of coffee is coming through.
It really is amazing.
You know, they've got a Keurig in there. I'll bet you give them a couple pods, like first hits free.
Oh, I bet they would.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Taking some donuts and some coffee, man.
Oh yeah,
all of a sudden your stuff will be overnighted.
Yeah, the priority upgrade on the house.
That's right.
That's good, man. That's good.
It's like cigars. It's the free cologne that comes with every purchase. It's like,
it's true.
Who's going to complain about it, especially pipe tobacco? I've never had a single person complain about pipe tobacco and the smell of it.
I've only encountered one person that says that, like in the years that we've done this, I've encountered one person that says they didn't like the smell of coffee.
That was someone,
and it was very recent.
Yeah, I was about to say that was pretty recent. I forget who it was though.
So I mean,
so many events, so many people.
Must be like childhood trauma or something.
But most people, I mean, like we get and we were in St. Louis a few weeks ago, and the lady that ran the convention center was like just begging us to grind more coffee, because we would grind coffee fresh for the event, and we did it in the hall, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, grind more coffee! It smells so good in here." So like people really enjoy when we come to visit, because they get a lingering odor of coffee, which is
for sure
not always the case when Reptile people come around.
Yeah, absolutely. What I think is crazy is my employer's wife. She works with us like at least 4 days a week. And we have espresso machine and the Keurig, and I got a drip and I got a hot water thing. I get the whole coffee gauntlet of work. Mm-hmm. And we drink a lot of coffee. And when she got COVID, she couldn't smell coffee. And she's like, "Oh, all right, whatever." And then like as her senses got back, now she hates it. And it kills her, because she was a coffee drinker prior to contracting COVID. And now she hates the smell and it kills her. Isn't that crazy?
Man, that's crazy. Yeah.
I thought you was going to say that she can't even smell it anymore. A lot of times people have impacts to their senses, like they can't smell, or their taste buds are different. But man, to now all of a sudden
to alter that taste that much, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think we'd be out of a job, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
We don't need that to happen too often.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm gonna bring her some of this and see if she could smell this, because it's just that effervescent.
Yes. Yeah.
So
hook her up.
We need to put that in the effervescent. We need to put that in the.
Put it on the testimonial quotes.
Yeah.
1,000%.
I can't spell it.
It's phonetic. Don't worry.
So unrelated, but like when we get coffee and it is already ground, does keeping it in the fridge make it last? Does that prolong the shelf life at all, or no?
Yes, it prolongs the shelf life to the point where it's not gonna like mold or like go sour. But if you have ground coffee and you're trying to keep it not stale by putting it into the fridge, it's not doing a whole lot of good. The thing that will happen is a lot of times other aromas will, like if you've got a smelly dish that you put in the refrigerator with it can like
it'll be like baking soda.
Right. It can kind of soak up. I mean, so coffee grounds are great. Like if you take your used coffee grounds and you stick them in the refrigerator, they're great odor absorbers. So that's a little trick just to throw out there, is if you take your used coffee grounds, throw them in the refrigerator, it can actually take some of those smells away, but it has the converse effect of if you put them in there and there is something smelly and you want to use those coffee grounds later, it will absorb them. So, I mean, it's better than keeping it in an open container for months, but it's not it's not going to keep it fresh.
Phil, I wonder if a Boveda pack would work. Like it does for cigars.
I wonder, man. I wonder what. Well, let's ask the professionals. What is the optimum percentage of humidity to store your coffee that's been already ground? Well, let's do ground and bean.
So, I mean, it's going to be similar. I mean, you're going to be looking for anywhere between 50 and 60% humidity. So nothing too extreme. I mean, you're talking the good thing about coffee is that you're going to want to store it at regular room temperature and regular room humidity. So nothing too outrageous. Not like cigars where you need to keep it a humidor or something like that. You're going to want to keep it because moisture content in coffee, you want a lower moisture content after it's roasted. So you don't want to add moisture back to it. So yeah, I would say regular room temperature, regular room humidity. You don't need to do anything extra for it to store it. And of course, I mean, I know most people know this, but whole bean prolongs the life way longer. Yeah. I mean, you probably 3 or 4 times as long as ground. Wow. The staleness, I mean, as soon as you grind it, you just got to think about it like from a surface area, point of view, right? So as soon as you grind it, that's thousands of times more surface area that you have for those aromatics to dissipate and things like that, as opposed to a whole bean where it's a lot less surface area.
All right, so on the same topic, my fiance keeps her coffee in these airtight vessels, right? And I feel like I don't know if it's just trapping those off-gassed aromas in there or if it really is keeping it stable. Opinions?
Very much in favor of airtight canisters. And that's actually what this little valve is in the back here. So a lot of people think it's for aroma. It's actually a one-way degassing valve, so it's going to let gas out, but not let new stuff in, right? So that's what it's for. So yes, once it's opened, get it into an airtight canister as soon as you can, especially one that has like a valve that releases the air as you go down to let that air out and not let new air back in. It's gonna stop the oxidation and all the the ill effects of oxygen and carbon dioxide that have getting into that coffee.
Yeah, we use those at shows actually for the pour over process that we do. So if you ever seen us at any shows, we use like an airscape container that does exactly that. It has that valve. So when it serves as like a mechanism to release the valve to allow you to open it, but when you close it, it locks it in and keeps everything fresh. So
and you can push that oxygen out.
You're forcing it out, and keeping it fresh.
So
making
good job. Exactly.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's
awesome.
As
close to it as you can get.
Yep.
Yeah. What are you smoking tonight, Philip?
I may not sound like it, but I'm actually sick, so I'm not smoking a cigar because my sinuses are jacked and it would be a waste of good tobacco. So sorry, kids, but pretend I'm smoking a Liga Privada number 9.
I'll smoke one for you, buddy.
Please. What do you got?
I got so because the Snakes and Stogies blend is half, well, maybe not half, but a blend of Mexican and Rwandan coffee. I had to go with a San Andreas wrapper, so I got this M81 blackened, the Metallica cigar that Drew Estate released not that long ago. That's actually pretty damn good.
Awesome.
I was pretty hooked on this one when they do the pre-release thing every year where they give you like unbanded cigars and like they have people guess sort of what the blend is and what it is, and then they have this sort of live stream release event where they explain the blend and what it is and stuff. And so I was hooked on this one before they really unveiled it, and I'm all about it. It's a good smoke, and because the blend has Mexican coffee in it, and I like that San Andreas Maduro wrappers on cigars, it was a pretty good choice. And then the old standby Nica Rustica broadleaf Maduro as the second string there. So.
Hell yeah. Boys, are you partaking in an adult vice this evening?
You want to guess? I have coffee. No adult vices today. We can't smoke because we're in our roasting facility, so that's out, and we have to work tomorrow. And
my adult vice will be waiting on me.
oh, is it? Oh, is it?
Right at the conclusion of this
excellent
episode. Yes.
Yeah. So we're partaking in coffee, but
that's good.
But that's it for tonight.
Wow. So what I've been curious about with the whole sort of the blending process itself is like, how do you go about finding the right mixture from the, because obviously just like with cigars, different parts of the country and different territories even within those countries, like you're going to have differences in the flavor just from the soil and things like that. The microclimates of the region. So what's like, how do you go about, like when we come to you and we're like, let's do a Mexican something with, Uganda or Rwanda, how do you go about putting that together to make it work?
Yeah. So you kind of said it, right? So I have an idea of what I want when we talk about, I mean, of course, when we started talking about coffee with you guys, a Mexico with Smitty, with your Baird's made sense. And then Phil with your venomous stuff, an African coffee, like a Central African coffee, kind of made sense. Right. So we knew we wanted to be in those areas. Mexico has a few regions of coffee producing areas, but it's not as difficult to hone in on as some of your larger producing countries like Brazil and Colombia and things like that. So there's not a whole lot to choose from when you're talking about Mexico. Chiapas, the region where the coffee that's in this blend comes from, I really like it because it's got like instead of like a dark chocolate base, which is a lot of your Central and South American coffees. The Mexico Chiapas has more of like a toffee base to it. So it's a little bit sweeter, a little bit creamier, I guess, than what you would expect from like a South American, like a Colombian, which I really liked. And I thought it would go well when we were talking about an African coffee, because African coffees, especially like Rwandans, tend to be a little bit more floral in flavor. And so I didn't want to put something that was too overpowering on the front end, like as a base, because you're going to taste that Central American coffee kind of first. That's going to be like your base level. It's going to be the more overpowering flavor, because it's going to be that like toffee or that chocolate base. You're going to get that. And especially coffee drinkers, the people that enjoy coffee, kind of expect that kind of chocolatey base. So I didn't want to overpower that chocolate or that toffee in the case of the Mexico with something that was going to just get lost in the shuffle. So choosing the toffee and then going with something a little bit more floral to bring out some brightness in the cup, because I knew that we wanted to go to a medium roast. And with a medium roast, you want to accent some of the nice aspects of the coffee without losing a lot of the sweetness. And so with those floral notes, you can get that sweetness, but having that like toffee flavor up front with the Mexico kind of helps that sweetness linger in the cup. And also the nice thing about taking it to a medium roast is that you get that both the Mexico and the Rwanda have like a grapefruit kind of tang to it. But when you take it to a medium, you can kind of roast out a little bit of that acidity, which a lot of people find a little bit, you either love it or hate it when you're talking about African coffees. And so you can kind of smooth that out a little bit and make it like a nice rounded, balanced cup with those sweet and floral notes to it. So that's kind of what I was going for when we did the blend. Honestly, it was something that I was pretty intrigued to try because I've never really seen that combination before. And so you see some African coffees and some Central American coffees, but I've never seen a Mexico Chiapas and a Rwanda together. And honestly, I mean, I thought it turned out magnificent.
I loved it.
I was really impressed with it. And we fine-tuned a little bit. It did end up being 50-50. I actually started a little heavier on the Mexico, But like I said, I lost a little bit more of the floral notes, more than I wanted from the Rwanda. I really wanted that Rwanda to stand out because I really wanted that to be an introductory to people who hadn't really had that African coffee experience before. Because a lot of times when you hear African coffee, you think Ethiopian Yirgacheffe, and it's the like punchiest, acidic, like it tastes like you're drinking like apple juice or something, right? It's and so I wanted an introductory to African coffee without it being an Ethiopian Yirgacheffe. And I like Ethiopian Yirgacheffes, but not everyone does. And so I thought that this blended really, really well together and brought with the 50-50 balance, brought out enough of those floral notes to really get a feel for it.
Awesome.
So,
it's just like cigars, man. It's like you want to find the tobaccos that work together, not against each other, you know.
So
go ahead.
We're gonna say Trey.
Well, I was gonna say, and it's interesting because you do have so many different palettes to choose from. I mean, the possibilities of combinations are endless, right? So some of it has to do with us having access to certain coffees. Like I know we had talked about some other areas where they're a little bit harder to get access to some of those coffees. So the reason why we started with the Mexico and the Rwanda is because we had those in stock. And so that also helps as well.
What I was gonna say is having had like how do I phrase this? Having sampled Ethiopian and Somali myself, I know what you mean by that earthy, acidic, that real earth tone. So when you're roasting, specifically with our blend, are you roasting the Mexican stuff completely separate, or are you putting them both in the same in the same oven at the same time, so to speak?
Yes. Yeah. So you can do both.
Okay.
We have some coffees that are pre-roast blended, some that are post-roast blended. This is a pre-roast blend. So we combine the green coffee together and then roast it. Okay. And there's pros and cons to both. I'm going to take my opportunity here to nerd out about coffee because that's
man.
That's why you have us on.
So, hell yeah, do it. Get it.
So the pro of post roast blending is that you can roast each to a certain degree separately and then combine them. But it's also a little bit harder to gauge quantity, right? So you have to roast like a partial batch of each one and then combine them if you have like a small batch order, right? Pre-roast blending, you can combine them together before you roast, have the exact quantity that you want, roast it, and you have a finished product. The problem is that some coffees tend to not want to roast to the same degree as other coffees. And so some coffees will roast faster, some will roast slower, some will retain heat, some will expel that heat faster. So in order to do that, I typically don't I typically don't pre-roast blend different processing methods. And I can't remember if we talked about this before, but there's like 3 main processing methods with coffee. You have like washed processed coffee, natural processed coffee, and honey processed coffee are your 3 main ones. So I will only pre-roast blend the same processing method. In this case, both of the coffees in this blend are washed coffees. They're fully washed coffees. And so they tend to act similarly. And so that's why we did a pre-roast blend on that, so that we can kind of help they act similar enough, and we can help manage the freshness of the coffee, so we can roast it all together and have it as fresh as possible.
So now in your selection process of, obviously we figured out what countries and regions and all that and what you could get and what you had on hand and everything. Is it luck or just a good pairing that they happen to, forgive my ignorance, cook at the same time at the same temp?
A little. Okay. So like I said, it's the processing method has a lot to do with it. So these both being wash processed coffees, and would you like me to explain what wash processed coffee is?
Yeah, I remember last time you guys were on, we went through the 3 different types, but you know what? Let's just, we got time. Let's do it.
Yeah. So a wash processed coffee, so you take it off so coffee is a cherry. So the coffee bean is actually a seed inside of a cherry. You take it off the tree, you put it into like a wash tank, you let it ferment, and then you put it through a pulper. So that's a wash processed coffee that gets the pulp off of the cherry of the coffee. A natural processed coffee, it comes off the tree, goes onto a raised bed usually, and it ferments there. It dries out there, depending on the climate, for 2 weeks to 30 days or something like that, until it reaches an appropriate moisture content, and then they depulp it. And then honey processed coffee is kind of a hybrid between the two. So they'll let it rest on those raised beds for a shorter amount of time, and then they'll run it through a wash process or a depulper. So those are the three. So because both of the coffees, the Mexico and the Rwanda, went through that wash process, they tend to act similarly, not identically, but similarly, enough that I can predict what they're going to do as part of the roast. And so, yeah, they roast. This coffee roasts about as predictably as you would want a coffee to do. So it's
Nice.
It was a pretty standard roast.
Excellent.
Which with really nice results. So I honestly didn't have to really play around with it a whole lot before I got something that I wanted.
That's great, man.
Yeah, because that
That's
was
good.
my concern sort of going in, was like that I would want the hardest to get stuff, not knowing that it was the hardest to get, and that it just be
Yeah, right.
complete
Yeah.
pain in the ass on y'all's end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, this is where I would say definitely not so much luck. I mean, this is what Trey does like all the time, right? He's here in the lab, so to speak,
It's an art.
figuring out the right combination of coffee to pair with each other to bring out the right taste that everyone's looking for, right? So
yeah,
I mean, this is what we've done, and
I appreciate that. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of experience. I mean, so coming up with new blends, it's like anything else. Like, I'm trying to bring it to an analogy with the snake world, but like, when your animals are ready to breed, you've witnessed it, you've seen patterns, I do the same thing. So I roasted thousands of batches of coffee. I kind of understand what a washed Mexican coffee will do, and I understand what a washed Rwandan coffee will do, and I can tend to like add heat or take away heat, or add airflow or take away airflow at times, because I know the coffees. So it's
Awesome.
a lot of practice, and
Hell yeah.
So
I am looking up things in the Chiapas.
I was gonna say you look like you were lagging for a minute.
yeah, you're gonna have. I actually looked it up earlier on iNaturalist. So you're gonna have like Central American boas in that area. You're gonna have a lot of abronia in that area.
Awesome.
You're gonna have actually some dry marcon make it down that far. I didn't realize that the dry marcon make it down. I think they call them the Southern Indigos or something like that.
Yeah.
What else?
Jumpers, Phil. I see some.
Oh, nice.
jumpers
Nice.
on here. Coleonyx elegans.
Very cool.
They had some like morlets, crocodiles,
Yep.
and American crocodiles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Their equivalent of coach whips, some masticophus,
Very cool.
coral snakes.
I would say put it up on the screen, but we'd probably crash.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool.
Yeah. It's a really interesting region, because like it's something that like you think of that Mexico area, and I always think of like a more arid area, but it's very forested, very rainforested, very tropical, very equatorial type of animals that live there. So
Yeah. Fantastic.
tons of anoles. That's like 3/4 of what I saw was posted on that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think there's like, what is it, 30 or 40 species, south of Chihuahua.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And of course your green iguanas are
Naturally
pretty popular down there. Yeah.
That's cool.
The
man.
Rwandan area is really interesting, though. I mean, we'll get to that one, I'm sure, but that was very interesting to learn everything that was
super
was endemic to that
unique.
area.
Oh yeah, tons of biodiversity in Rwanda. Because you think about it, you've got like these lowland hillscapes, the steppe land, grassland, and then you've got these lush mountainscapes with thick jungle. wild.
And you have the major lakes there too, right? Like you have Lake
Yeah.
Victoria that comes right in there, Lake Tanganyika that comes down. It's more like Uganda, but it's, or Burundi south.
Yeah, Burundi.
But like in that because Rwanda is kind of on the central eastern side of Africa, and for those that don't know, and so you're going to get a lot, like it's right next to Tanzania. So like think of Mount Kilimanjaro is in Tanzania, so you've got like the Serengeti National Preserve in there, and so you've got a really diverse. It's equatorial, right? It's right on the equator,
Right on it.
And it's got a really, I mean, you've got everything from like rhino vipers in there, you've got forest cobras in there, you've got what else? Oh my gosh, just so many things, so many interesting animals that live in that area. Nile crocodiles make it down there. Yeah, really interesting.
Three or four species of tree viper.
Yeah,
and then countless colubrids.
I've seen I saw reports. It wasn't on iNaturals, but I saw some other stuff where there were actually boomslang and mambas that were in that area, that they said might be native ranges into Rwanda. So really interesting. And like so important to not just the reptile industry, but like we talked about the lakes where, you know, that's where all of your African cichlids come from. You know, it's a really major area for birds. So pretty much across the pet industry and people with interested in pets know that area. So that's another reason why we wanted to do that area. In addition, of course, to like the cobras and things that are found there.
Oh yeah,
it's such an interesting and probably underappreciated area when we talk about both coffee and wildlife.
Oh, for sure. And there's so much science coming out of that region too, and because of the politics and some of the not so nice things that have happened in that region, unfortunately, people are apprehensive, at least outsiders are apprehensive to visit that region. But there's so much that needs to be researched and discovered, and it is good to know that the more modern governments are making more protected lands, whether it be for the benefit of nature or their own personal interest, who knows.
Right.
But it's working, and scientists are getting out there, and field researchers are getting out there, and it's a really, really captivating area.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a good point, Phil, because I mean, all that, like Uganda and Rwanda and Burundi are right on the edge of like the Democratic Republic of Congo on one side and then Sudan on the other. And so, like you said, you almost have to go through those areas to get there.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense why there has been limited access for people to do wildlife conservation stuff with everything else going on. But
yeah, the few people I know that have done like Uganda into Rwanda, they'll either fly into Nairobi and then take small planes into Uganda or into Rwanda, or they'll even fly as far as Dar es Salaam and then take little puddle jumpers across from Dar es Salaam across Tanzania to get there. So it's almost traveling there in itself is its own adventure, you know?
Sure.
But yeah, what are we looking at here, Smitty?
There's a bunch of, I noticed a really cool agamas that were like really beautiful colored agamas that are in Rwanda.
Do we know the actual city where the beans are coming from or no?
Yeah, it's that one. Okay. I'm not going to butcher it, but yeah.
Karongi?
Yeah, that's the one. It's kind of like western. It's in the western province of Rwanda. Rwanda's a very small country, so but yeah, it's on the western side.
Yeah, and there's so much crossover because, like you said, you've got the DRC on the west, you got Tanzania and Kenya on the east. Yeah. So you've got a ton of mishmash, and then, like you said, that those Great Lakes are there, and there's so many estuaries and river systems and spring systems, and you've got this grassland that has running rivers going through it, and then all of a sudden you're at the foothill of a mountain that now you've got alpine species, tropical, equatorial, montane species. It's incredible country. Look at those chameleons.
There were a few, not even just one, like several, like the pygmy chameleons there. That just really cool.
The reed frogs are pretty nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there were several species of reed frogs.
Good old Hemidactylus.
I was going to say same thing.
Yeah.
So I think I saw one over there the other day.
Nice.
You probably go to Antarctica and find one of those things hanging out somewhere.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if there was Hemidactylus inside like the research stations in Antarctica.
Yep, that's about right.
Go back. Because I also put arachnids because I'm curious as to if they had any like scorpion species and stuff there.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of fossorial species of scorpion. Oh, now croc, look at that.
Oh, there we go. Babicurus. I haven't even heard of that species before.
What is it?
Hold on a second. Babicurus centurimorphus.
Interesting.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Seems like a more like roided out Gigas.
Well, I was gonna say it's like a marble Jacksoni. Oh yeah, look at that. Very Jacksoni with the black on the tips and awesome bug.
Yeah, that's such a cool group of scorpions.
Yeah.
Makes me want some.
I know, right? Oh.
What else we got here? A lot of lizards.
Nice. Is that Herald snake I saw?
Where?
I don't know.
There are. I did see Kate Files.
Oh yeah, red lip.
Some other stuff.
Oh, speaking of, I got that book, Dangerous Snakes of Africa, off of Hamilton for like $10.
Nice.
And I think that is probably the second most information-filled book on stilettos.
Yeah, it
covers like the entire genus. It seems like.
Oh yeah,
that's in Africa. Because I was reading it and I was like, Phil has to know about this because there's.
No, I have. So the copy you have is the second edition, and the hardcover of that second edition is very scarce. I don't even know if they really ever made it, but the paperback is everywhere. So I actually have the paperback. The original version, excuse me, was hardcover only, and it had an orange and yellow squam on the cover.
We're talking.
There you go. There. Speaking of Atheris.
These things do something to my body that I cannot explain. Did I freeze? Or is everyone just being
there?
quiet?
No, we're just in shock. Oh, the green snake.
Yeah, we're just
just
like
looking.
Your spirit froze for a second there looking at.
Dude, that is like, if there was ever a snake on the planet that I fully want to know everything and anything about, it's Nishii, without a doubt.
Oh yeah. Well, speaking of Atheris, like I was saying, the original version of Stephen Spall's book was a hardback red jacket with a red and yellow squam. And if you found that book secondhand in the past 10 or 15 years, it was anywhere from $200 to $300 because it was just that rare of a book, and most of them were signed by Spalls. And I never bought it because I was like, I can't justify it, because at the end of the day, it is just a field guide. You know what I mean? It's the quintessential venomous snakes of Africa field guide, but it is just a field guide. But I am very happy that I got the one you have, because it does, excuse me, have so much information on Atractaspis.
Well, it even had Thrassops in there. I mean, it was brief.
Yeah.
My one complaint about that book, though, is that some of the species that I would probably consider not getting bit by, it's like, yeah, these are likely not anything crazy or not anything medically significant. And I'm like it said Thrassops were harmless, and I'm like, are they?
Yeah, yeah. If you're in Africa, I'm sure they're harmless. I will say this though, if you are a fan of that book, you got to get Sun, Sand, and Snakes, which is also by Stephen Spalls. And that book it's dated, but that's a fantastic book on African snakes.
Look at that freaking thing, man.
I know, neon green, baby.
God.
Look at the contrast against the dirt.
I know. Well, I mean, just the borders on it. That damn hex armor glove.
I know, right? It's a blessing and a curse.
People in those gloves, man.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I'd scream like a girl if I saw that. If I look over and saw that.
You would not. You would not scream like a girl. Your mouth would drop open, and you would be speechless. Then, like I know what that feels like. That's exactly how you would do it.
Like, this is a species I've been obsessed with since I was a kid, and I'll probably never own them.
I never say never.
At the rate things are going, I don't think it's going to happen. But look at that one. Look at all the black, dude.
Yeah, man.
Oh my god.
Incredible.
Did you know that Rungwayensis is supposed to be like technically a subspecies of these?
Really?
Yeah, they're very closely related.
Yeah, because they're in the same neck of the woods too, right? They're on the eastern side of Rwanda.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Super
cool. Super cool.
The gnarly snakes.
The Atheris we used for the coffee bag, was that Nishii or was that
it's Chlorechis.
Okay. That's what I figured.
It's just some of the look who that is.
Look at that man.
Mike
Look
Clark.
at that handsome man right there. Look at that wanker shot on iNaturalist. God bless him. Only he can pull that off.
Look at that all black.
Yeah, the arrowhead, man.
Oof. All right.
And all of these are in Rwanda?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Just
Possum.
We need to, next time Mike goes, we need to hitch a ride with him. So.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I would be able to tripod if I saw one of those. A Bushmaster in the scrub. Oh.
Rob is creeping it real. Just get the boat, Smitty.
Yeah. I do want to go to, like, there's a couple of eco tour companies now that do like Uganda tours. And I'd really like to do one of those.
No, he was saying get the boat so you can have venomous.
Oh, that no. No. I think both Trey and McKendrick would agree that that's not a good trade.
No, not at all. No.
Oh man. So yeah, Mexican and Rwandan.
Yes.
Blended.
The tasting notes: toffee, grapefruit, and apricot with a mild floral finish.
Excellent. Who writes the tasting notes?
Who else comes up with this this foolishness?
I think my tasting notes are fairly mild in terms of what the coffee world throws out there.
Now, this is true.
So I try to remember who my audience is.
I think there's a level of simplicity to it that is still very attractive to the partaker.
There is a whole, like, I don't know, counterculture in coffee,
big time,
that just goes down rabbit holes of things. Like they'll name things that, have you ever tasted that? Like, I don't understand why that's a tasting note, because no one has ever tried that.
It's like that in cigars too.
Yeah,
big time. Like, you'll see the tasting notes and you're like, what? It tastes like the iron from a horseshoe that's been worn for 3 weeks. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right. You're like,
like, really?
Yeah.
I try to keep it realistic. And you'll see most of mine are somewhat the same in terms of like the main base, because they come from similar areas. So you'll see a lot of chocolate and a lot of grapefruit's a common one that you'll see. Anything that has that acidity to it, you're going to get that like African coffees a lot are going to have that base of that citric base to it. So grapefruit is a common one you see in coffee. The one that there's a few that I can't really I don't know, like Kenyan coffees are famous for their tomato flavor, but I really hate putting tomato because it just doesn't sound appealing.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't.
There's
It
some
doesn't.
cigars where they'll put like some note, and I'm like, why would you add that? Like, no one's gonna want to taste that.
He also tells me sometimes, McKendrick tells me sometimes that I need to not say like I think you said like earthy and I can't remember exactly what I said, but you're like, that sounds like you're grabbing some dirt and putting it in your mouth.
See, that's like I like earthy cigars, like cigars that taste like dirt for some reason. If a cigar has that note and it's like right there at the front the entire time, sign me up. I don't know why. Maybe I've got pica or something, but that flavor, dude, is just like I like.
Yeah, but see, when I think earthy, when I think earthy, I don't think like soil.
Yeah,
I mean, I think of more of a woodsy, more
I can't remember exactly what I said. I saw his point when I said it. I was like, oh, I don't know, like pine cone or something. I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was like
deciduous.
Fine. Yeah, I was like, okay, that's fine. Leaf litter. Yeah.
Notes of conifer.
Right. Okay, fine. I'll back off.
That's good, man.
Getting a little too close to the edge.
Yeah.
with your descriptions, they're gonna fall off a cliff.
I will say this though, Smitty and I have talked about this with cigars in the past, where if there is a notes sheet or a notes, key, if you will, we will not read it, and then I'll smoke a cigar and then write what I think down and see if any of them matched.
Yeah, because then you get a confirmation bias. If you're like looking for it, you're gonna find it.
100% agree. Right. I mean, just keep in mind for everyone listening that the tasting notes are marketing. Right. It's all, I mean, it depends on who's writing them. You try to be realistic because you want people to be happy with the coffee.
Right.
But it's a marketing tool that has been kind of adopted as standard in the world of coffee. And the same thing with cigars is you're trying to make it as appealing as possible to the person. So I always recommend, understand what you like, but also try and taste it unbiased. And that's a lot of what coffee is like. There's, and I'm sure the same thing with cigars, but there's a certifications that you can get, like tasters of coffee. One is a Q grader. It's like the highest level of like sensory and tasting of coffee that you can get. And it's all about being able to identify a standardized list of flavors and tasting notes and things like that. So
excellent.
So
yeah, there's just a level of subjectivity to the notes and stuff, because it's with cigar reviews, like I've talked about those a little bit here and there in the past, but like those are only I don't take those too seriously when I read them, because there's going to be biases, whether they're conscious or subconscious, I think. And most of the time they are blind reviews. Like they don't have a band on them. They don't know what it is. They're just smoking it and they're rating it. It just so happens that the companies that seem to spend the most in ad space in some of these magazines get the best reviews. It's kind of
it's interesting how that happens.
Yeah. But I mean, it's completely subjective. Like everyone's palate's different. So like what I find to be mild, Phil may find peppery, or what Phil finds to be, just really sort of strong and in your face, I may find to not be. So
that's interesting you say that, because I think the same thing with coffee exists in terms of like roast degrees. So you also have, even in addition to the flavor notes of coffee, you have the degree that it was roasted. So like light, medium, and dark. And some people's classification of a medium roast versus a dark roast may be vastly different. And so like, and people's preferences and tolerances for that can be very different as well. And I'm sure the same thing again with cigars and the mildness or boldness of it. So
I will say this, my like I said, we drink a lot of coffee at work, and my employer tries to vary it up best we can, but there's a certain brand that I won't mention, but it begins with a P and ends with an Eats. We got 2 boxes in. One was a medium, one was a dark, and the medium roast tasted great. The dark roast literally tasted like they put liquid smoke in it. Like they forced the peatiness. Like I see the group chat's talking about scotch, right? And for me, I love Scotch, and I like a peaty Scotch, but there's a certain level where you're adding so much shit into it to make it what it probably could never really be.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's a difference between adding peat to smoke out your Scotch, right? Or just adding smoke smell, smoke taste. Like that's just, come on.
And that's exactly what they're doing. So when you roast a dark roast, so the company that you mentioned, the one that starts with P and ends with eats, is commodity grade coffee, right? So you're talking about coffee that isn't quite the same grade as specialty coffee, which is what we roast. And that's not to say that it's better or worse or whatever. I mean, it's objective. Some people love that flavor in coffee.
Right. And for coffee that's going to sit on the shelf for months on end, it tastes good.
Sure. Specialty coffee is anything that scores 80 or above on a 100-point scale. So just kind of an idea. And commodity coffee can be anything lower than that. It could be a 79 and it's still commodity grade coffee. So just keep that in mind. But my point is that they are going to roast that a certain way because of what it is. So when we roast dark roast and specialty coffee, my goal is to try and retain as much of that bean flavor as I can. So that you get what you're paying for. You're paying for a specialty grade product. I want you to get a nice, smooth, roasted, but still get some of the original bean flavor. When you're talking about the commodity grade coffee and the stuff that some of the major coffee producers are putting out, they're going to roast it hot and hard. Right. And that's where you're getting a lot of that smoky flavor because they're hitting it so hard with heat up front that you're getting a lot of evaporation early and you're getting a lot of smoke in the roaster and you're getting that smoke aroma imparted on the beans as they roast through. And so that's what they're doing. They're hitting it hard and they're hitting it fast and they're roasting as fast as they can. And again, some people love it. I tend to not like it. I like lighter roast coffee because I like the bean flavor. But you're exactly right, Phil. That's exactly what they're doing. It's almost like they're not even adding liquid smoke; they're adding literal smoke to it.
Yeah. And what's sad is that when I brewed it in the Keurig or whatever the hell we have there, I can't remember what brand it is, but the smell was infinitely worse than the taste. The taste was like, it's all right. But like the smell, like, which is the polar opposite of yours. Your smell is just like, oh my.
Yeah.
My.
But speaking of Scotch, and I'm going to throw this out there because you're going to have to come see it at a show to get it. We do a bourbon barrel aged coffee now, which is absolutely fantabulous.
Excellent.
Fantabulous.
Fantabulous.
But we only do it at shows, so you can't get it online. And we do that because it's hard to you have to age it in the barrel for 30 days, and it's kind of hard to keep that on the website with one-off orders. We kind of have to do it as a batch, and so that's why we do it at shows only. So come see us at a show. We'll have bourbon barrel aged coffee. It tastes like bourbon, like
nice.
Legit.
Wow.
So it's crazy.
Can I ask some questions? And if this is trade secret, feel free to say no. But
go ahead.
So, how old are the casks you're using, and are you putting it in whole bean or are you grinding and then putting it in?
Yeah. So the barrels themselves are once used bourbon barrels. We get them from a local distillery here in Charleston. It's High Wire Distillery, in case anyone local knows that, but they're right in downtown Charleston. They're once used, and I think the ones that we have are 5-year aged. So they had the bourbon in them for 5 years, and then they, of course, drained them, and then we bought the barrels. And then what we do with them is that we put the raw coffee. So they're not the beans aren't roasted yet.
So
we put the green coffee
excellent
into the barrels, let them sit there for 30 days. They soak up all that char and all that good stuff that's left behind.
Nice.
And then we roast them after 30 days. So
that's awesome.
Is 30 days like the sweet spot, or is that
that's the part where
leave them in there longer?
You could. We never went past 30 days because it about knocked McKendrick out. He got a little tipsy the first time he opened that barrel. There's a picture on our Instagram if you want to see what barrel drunk looks like. It'll knock you on your butt if you've never stuck your head in a bourbon barrel.
That smell is very potent.
It's very strong. So we never made it past 30 days. but 30 days does the job. Let's just say.
Nice.
You taste bourbon.
And let me ask you this: did you guys settle on that because of the fermentation time, or just 30 days was just an easy number to keep track of?
It's probably, I mean, more so the second time. So or the second part. So when we initially started experimenting with the bourbon barrels, we took it out. What was it like? Every week we took it out. I can't remember, but I think it was like every 7 days we took a little bit out, sample roasted it, tried to see which each tasted like, and we got to 30 days and we're like, the difference between like 21 days and 30 days wasn't like that big of a difference. And so
I think we did leave it was like 60 days. Yeah, that went beyond 30.
There was not that big of a difference between, the ones that were in there longer or right around that same time. So 30 days, it's easy to keep track of. It was 31 days, right? So we dropped the last one November 1st. We've got some pulling out December 1st. So it's just easy for us to keep up with.
Awesome. And then my other question to that is, are you filling that thing with bean, or are you doing like stages? Because I wonder if bean at the bottom that isn't getting as much air circulation would be different than the top, or is that just in my head?
I don't know. That's a good question.
We
filled it up. Yeah, we filled it up. So
nice.
Fill it up, mix them up really good.
I'm sure there is a difference in the fact that some of them are making contact with the sidewalls.
Right.
So I'm sure there is some level of difference, but like we take it out of the barrel and we kind of, so we'll take them all out of the barrel and put them in a Grain Pro bag, and like a big plastic bag. And so it all gets mixed back up together. So the way it sits in the barrel isn't the way it gets roasted.
Okay.
So,
very cool, man. Very cool.
It's interesting. It was a learning process. So
nice.
That's one of the kind of the fun things about coffee, but also the kind of the annoying things about coffee is there's not
challenging
things. Yes. Is that not a lot of people, like the old guard in coffee was pretty hesitant to give away their secrets. And so there's not a whole lot of information about how to get started roasting coffee, or like if you want to do something really specialized, like barrel aging of coffee, there's not a whole lot of information out there to like step by step. Here, buy a bourbon barrel, open the barrel, put the coffee in. Like you were saying, Phil, the first time we tried to do it, we didn't know whether we put the green coffee in or the bean or the roasted beans in.
Yeah.
So we had to figure it out kind of on our own. So every new little project, we learn something different.
Yeah, man. And I wonder if other fermenting vessels could be used in a similar fashion. Like, I mean, I don't know how good it would be to do like a red wine, but I mean, something to that thought process, you know what I mean?
We have actually in our possession a brandy barrel.
Yeah. There we go. We haven't played around with it yet, but that's kind of the next one. The bourbon barrel was such a huge hit, we had to buy more bourbon barrels, so we've got those going.
Got 3.
We haven't gotten around to the brandy one yet, but
that's awesome. Oh, man,
I think it'll be interesting. The brandy's hopefully sweeter and
I will tell you this: I have personally had just normal drip, right, with VSOP, and normal drip with B&B, Benedictine and brandy. And man, that all three of them, I'm not mixed all three, but those two pairing with a good coffee is exquisite.
Interesting.
Just don't drink it at 8 a.m.
Yeah. Yes. Very, very true.
Noted.
Are you like selective about what variety you're putting in that barrel? Like, is there one that's more neutral that works better for that?
Yes. So what we've been using for the bourbon barrel aged is a washed Colombian coffee, and that's about as traditional of a coffee as you can get. So like when I think of coffee, when I think of my childhood all the way up to being an adult, and I think, oh, I want a coffee, the taste that I think of is a washed Colombian. So probably most other people as well. It's that chocolatey kind of, it doesn't have a lot of acidity, doesn't have a lot of sweetness. It's just a chocolate.
Doesn't have a lot of nuance to it. It's
right. So that's what we wanted. We didn't want like something to overpower the bourbon, like, or conflict with that bourbon flavor. So we wanted the caramels and the vanillas and stuff that were in that bourbon to pop. And so we wanted as flat of a base as we can get. So It's a very
That's
nice,
awesome.
it's a specialty grade coffee. It's a very nice coffee, nothing taken away from the coffee, but it's as coffee flavored as you can get, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great though. That's great.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about it when we had Trey on initially, but like I've experimented with infusing some cigars with coffee in the past, and it worked pretty well. And that was kind of one of the things was like, so you have like your Connecticut wrappers, which are typically your lighter cigars, typically a little on the peppery side, but it was those or Maduros, and I ended up going with Maduros because that is the darker, sort of oilier variety. And what I ended up doing was I ended up going and getting like a bag of whole bean from the grocery store. I think it was like a bag of Starbucks or something, and putting it in a Tupperware with some just cheap like house blend cigars, and left them in there for about a month, just covered in coffee beans. And those things were good. That flavor definitely transferred over. Those beans like absolutely just zapped the humidity though.
Really?
Like, those things were dry. Those cigars, I put a Boveda pack in there, dude. That thing was crispy by the time I had pulled it out. It was wild.
Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting.
I think that makes sense. I mean, coffee is a very low, roasted coffee has a very low moisture content.
Yeah.
So I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Kind of wasn't all that surprised because it, those Boveda packs are meant to sort of operate as like a controller of humidity, where they're taking in if there's too much and they're putting out if there's too little. And if those beans have like really nothing in them, they're just going to sponge all that right out of that thing. But
so was the Boveda pack like turned into solid rock?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's
in
rough.
Tupperware, which is like wild, because those things by themselves in a Tupperware, they'll last like a year plus, no problem.
Easy.
Because it's like a saline type solution that they use in those, to where I guess they have the ratio right for a certain level of humidity. And like those beans, man, that thing was like cardboard once I pulled it out. But those cigars were damn good. I want to do it again.
I wonder if
you know where to get coffee now.
Yeah, if you have like whole bean that you guys end up not using, or like
all the time
stuff that you're just not going to use, like let me know. I'll definitely,
absolutely, all the time. Yeah,
literally all the time.
We go through a lot of coffee.
Yeah, I can imagine. I wonder if you didn't have the Boveda in there, because obviously the beans are extracting the humidity, the liquid from the Boveda, which I imagine would probably be toxic. If you just did the beans and the cigar without the Boveda, could you then grind and drink those beans? Do you think that would be no bueno?
I don't see why not.
I don't know about
I mean, it's
nicotine poisoning or something.
those Bovedas too. I mean, that's like a food grade solution they're using in them.
The beans. How long do you keep them in there?
I did it for a month.
You might be on the edge of being stale.
Okay.
Tupperware. So I didn't even have a grinder or anything. So I was like, whatever. It was also Starbucks. So I was like, meh.
Yeah. Well, let's since you mentioned the G word. So my fiance she's Greek, and she's been on a Greek coffee kick. She hasn't had it in a few years, and she found a local shop, if you will, that sells multiple different Greek coffees from where she's from. And I've been drinking it. It's fantastic. And I've noticed that the Greek coffee is so finely ground because you're not filtering it, right? Mm-hmm. Can someone take a cold-blooded caffeine bean and grind it up that fine that it would brew the same way, or no?
Yes.
Is it like a Turkish kind of thing?
Yes. Yeah, they're very similar. Yeah. Yes. So those styles of coffee are brew methods and not coffee itself. So you can use any type of coffee.
Okay.
They tend to be darker roasted coffees, mostly to get the extraction out of the coffee without using like a filter. So you're using an immersion method. So you're sitting coffee in water and letting it extract that way. So usually you're going to have a darker roast coffee. It's kind of the same way with like a French press. So think of it as a French press for those that aren't really aware of what Phil's talking about. Most people know what a French press is. Most people tend to go darker with a French press than they would with like a filter coffee, because it's easier to get more extraction out of those beans because they're just sitting in water as opposed to flowing through water. But yeah, you can use any coffee and you just grind it super fine.
Yeah, this stuff is like powdered sugar. It's amazing.
It's powdered sugar. Yeah.
So
it's
they
actually,
just drink it. They drink it like not filtered. It's just straight up.
So they put
powdered coffee.
They put the grounds in like I'm not sure what the vessel is called, but it's like a little metal pouring vessel thing. At least the Turkish coffee, they usually do it over sand. And it's similar to the Greek coffee. Correct me if I'm wrong, Phil. And they usually have the grounds and the water sitting there, and then they pour the coffee out and leave the grounds behind.
We just do it on the stove just because it's easy, right? Sure. But if anyone knows my Instagram, knobtails.ig, there's actually a video of me making it, so you can see what it is. But yeah, basically what we'll do is we'll use the little, it's I don't want to say it's copper. It might actually be copper with like a wooden handle, and you put in, a teaspoon of the super fine ground coffee. You can add a little sugar if you want, and then you put in about half of that vessel worth of water, because it's going to boil up. And then the minute the boil gets to the rim, right before it overflows, you instantly take it off the heat, pour it into a small cup. It's got to be a small cup. You can't put it into like a traditional American coffee mug because it just won't settle right. And by the time it's, unless you are used to drinking lava, by the time it's cool enough to drink, the coffee has settled to the bottom, and it actually makes like a paste at the bottom. And then you just drink it like normal. And by the time you're done, honestly, it has almost a toothpastey texture at the bottom. And by the time you're done drinking it, the films at the bottom, and like I've never tasted grinds, if that's what people are wondering. So
it's almost too fine. Like Smitty, it looks like pluff mud almost. Like it's like
oh wow,
it's like a spongy looking
paste.
Paste. Yeah.
It almost has the same texture as like ground cinnamon.
But you have to. So if anyone wants to try that, and you buy whole beans, make sure you get a burr grinder, because you're never going to be able to get that level of fine grind with a blade grinder.
Yeah, for sure.
How did the burr grinders comparatively? What's the difference? I mean, obviously the blade grinders have blades. They're basically like little blenders.
Yeah, a burr grinder is like it'll have like a circle piece, and then one that goes inside, and the beans kind of fall in between the burrs, and it grinds on itself like this.
Yep.
And then of course the blade grinders spin. So the benefit of having a burr grinder is that the grinds, if you have a decent quality one, the grounds will all be around the same size, because they're fitting through that those two burrs, as opposed to blade grinders that are just spinning. It's just kind of a random what hits it and what breaks it up. So in order to get that fine, when you're talking about espresso or Turkish or Greek coffee, you're going to need something that you can consistently get very fine grind. So good.
Yeah, I've done it with like a Ziploc bag and a hammer, and it took forever.
Yeah, probably invest in a handheld
bag.
You can get, I mean, like Hario is a very common coffee manufacturer. They make like handheld burr grinders that are $45 or something like that do the job just fine.
Yeah, I mean, like the one that we have, it's a blade grinder, and it was like a cheap one from Walmart or something. I mean, it's done the job, but it just seems like finding something that's like built to last in anything really anymore seems like it's getting harder and harder to find.
Yeah, your price point goes up quite a bit when you're looking at quality burr grinders. I mean, we have, of course, we have commercial burr grinders, and those would just make your jaw drop as to how expensive those things are.
Yeah.
But even like some of your residential higher end grinders, they can run a couple $100 to a couple $1,000 depending on what you want.
Wow.
So most people can get by with a $100-$200 grinder and be perfectly happy. And if you get a decent one, I'm trying to remember the brand that I used to use. Starts with a B. I can't remember. But it was a solid grinder. If I remember, I'll shout it out. But it's a decent grinder, and it lasted for a long time until you start trying to run a commercial coffee business and use a household grinder, and then it wears it out pretty quickly. But we've all been there, right? No. So
trying to take shortcuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got our little espresso machine, and I bought that for Katie for Christmas, like probably 3 or 4 years ago, and honestly, I'm amazed that thing is.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah, that's good.
I got it. I was like, this thing ain't gonna last 6 months, I bet, and like, it won't die. Like, you can't kill it. It was like $130 or something off Amazon, and I'm like, this thing is not gonna, for this price. Like, there's no way this thing is gonna last longer than like a year tops.
I mean, the idea of
rocking and rolling
espresso is
every
pretty
day.
simple. It's the execution that's sometimes lacking with some of the cheaper products. But if you can get one that can get the required pressure and the required temperature, and you're somewhat competent with being able to prepare your shots, then I mean, you don't have to have, like, I've got a manual espresso lever machine in there that pulls great espresso, but you have to know what you're doing. And
yeah.
She wants to upgrade to like a Breville or something.
I've got one of those as well. It's a nice little.
It's
a nice little
Facebook
espresso
marketplace machine and stuff. And she's like, "This one's only $500." I'm like,
Jesus.
New ones. I mean, new ones will cost you $8, and that's like
500's
entry level, quality. Does yours have a steam wand, Smitty?
Yes, it does.
Oh, interesting. Does it? Do
Katie uses it all the time.
To me, that's the biggest difference in like a quality machine or not. I mean, there's automation and things like that you can get with like the Breville machines are volumetric, so you can they have a setting on how much they'll pull. You don't have to like manually tell it how much to pull, which is nice, and you pay for that feature. But the steam wand is something that I've noticed that is a pretty big difference maker when you move up in espresso machines, especially home espresso machines. You can get some pretty decent textured milk out of a higher end home espresso machine. So
nice.
Yeah, and Katie was a barista for a while.
That helps. Yeah. Knowing what you're doing goes a long way with coffee.
Breville's and stuff.
Yeah.
And if she knew nothing about coffee and making it, and she was looking at those machines, I'd be like, get the hell out of here. Like, what are you trying to get a Lamborghini and you ain't even driven before? Like, don't get crazy. But yeah, she makes I see. The thing is, like, that's sort of the difference, because I'll make myself something. I'll make like an iced Americano or iced latte or something from that espresso machine, and like when I make it, it's okay. But then she makes it, and it's just like 50% better. And I don't know if it's like she has the ratio of like milk or water to it right, and I don't. That's where my biggest struggle. That's where my biggest struggle is getting the ratio right of coffee to whatever else you're putting with it.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I see with espresso and people struggling at home is puck preparation. So like getting the right distribution of the coffee grounds within the portafilter and getting the tamp right, because you'll see a lot of people, they'll channel, and so even though they have the right amount of coffee and the right amount of water, the water channels through the puck, and that's why you get less than adequate extraction on those shots. So not that I'm saying that you're doing it wrong, but maybe she's doing it better. So
probably
fair enough. I uploaded the video of the Greek coffee. If you guys want, should I put it up there?
Cool. Yeah.
Where is it?
I have it. I sent it to you on Facebook Messenger, or I can share it if you want. It's up to you.
I'm pulling it up.
All right, cool.
I did try something, so I saw it on this episode of I saw it on TikTok.
Nice.
Someone took their espresso, and so they put it in I don't know what the official term is for the damn thing, but where you put the espresso in, you lock it in there.
The portafilter.
Sure. Yep.
So the portafilter is the little basket thing.
The whole thing. This has a basket that's removable and reusable.
Yeah.
So I put it in there, and then they put like sugar in the raw, like cane sugar, on top of that, and then pressed it on top of the coffee, and did it. And I tried it. It was pretty good.
See, I don't like doing that because after a while, you will start to get, dare I say, a crystallization of the sugar in the basket and in the main vessel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta watch
and then,
out
yeah, and all of a sudden now you're like trapping sugars in there, and it gets kind of like a funk to it, and
it adds flavor, man. It's like the little Turkish coffee cup thing. You don't wash it. I bet you yours hasn't been washed in decades, and it probably enhances the flavor.
No, you definitely wash it, 1000%.
Please wash it.
Yeah, I'm not seasoning it like a saucepan. That's not happening. Like, man, this thing doesn't even hold a single ounce of water anymore. It's so filled up with funk.
It's like the bowls over in Asia that they've been making the same soup out of for 100 years.
Oh, what do they call it? The infinity soup or something? What is it?
Yeah, the infinity coffee.
Yeah. No, there's my coworker. He used to live in Singapore, and he lived like 2 doors down from one of those little restaurants that has that like bowl of soup that's been cooking for like 80 years or whatever. He said it was amazing.
So the issue, since we're on this topic, and let the coffee guy just get this off his chest for a second. The reason why coffee people don't like you using old coffee plastered to the side of your cups is that it imparts other flavors other than what the roaster intended into that coffee. So that's a really cool video though, Phil.
Yeah, it's lagging out a little bit.
It's actually it's Eco Earth he's pouring in there, not coffee.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we put a tablespoon of coffee, or a teaspoon of coffee, and a teaspoon of cane sugar, and it's just on the stove, and just set it to high. And you got to watch it, because the minute you turn your back on it, it's going to bubble over. So here you go. Here comes bubbling. Man, like my video is lagging.
Baking soda vinegar volcano in kindergarten.
Yeah, it looks like that. And this video, I don't know if it's lagging for you guys, but it is way faster in real life.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm a big wuss. I can't drink it scalding hot. I mean, I like hot coffee, but I like people that drink it at 200 degrees. They're out of their freaking mind. By the time my dainty little lips can take it, it has settled appropriately and comes out great. So,
well, and just just another point. That's how like we cup coffee. So when we taste for quality for coffee, we brew it in the cups. So we pour water over top of grounds, just like you did.
Right.
And
Harry want to know what you placed in the science.
Yeah.
It depends on if the judges are coffee drinkers.
I forgot what I was saying.
Harry says, "What is this alchemy?"
That's funny.
Sorry, go on, Trey.
No, I forgot what I was saying. That's fine.
You were saying you're saying how you're
cupping
brewing,
coffee,
cupping
quality coffee. Yeah. So when we test for quality, or when we test for samples, we use a bowl and we put coffee grounds in the bottom of the bowl, and you just pour water over top of it. So you don't actually like brew through a filter. So it's kind of the similar idea where you let the ground settle to the bottom and you're taking coffee off the top. So it's a pretty common way to drink coffee, but it's not super practical if you're drinking it like in a to-go cup or something like that.
Yeah. The other thing is
be intentional about it.
Yeah, very much like Cuban coffee. This is a after dinner, libation, if you will, or something you'd have like mid-afternoon, post siesta. This is not your extra large cup in the morning to wake the hell up.
Right.
So
then what's the point?
To enjoy it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, to enjoy it.
The first 2 cups are for survival, and then the second, third, and fourth cups are for enjoyment. Right?
Yeah, right. That's it. That's good. That's real good.
How many filters did you guys go through on the pour overs at Tinley and St. Louis?
How many did we go through? We had to go get more. Shoot.
How big are they?
600,
Filters? Probably, I don't know,
3x3 or 4.
Put it next to your head, about McKendrick's head size. Yeah, I mean they're probably what 4 inches by 4 inches or something like that.
Okay.
I mean we went through 400 at least.
Wow.
Of the filters. I mean, yeah, crazy numbers.
At least, yeah.
So, and because we ran out and we had to go get more, and finding those specialty filters just out in the world is kind of challenging.
I'm sure that's tough.
So we were able to find them. Luckily, we ran out at Tinley, and we were able to find some at a Whole Foods in Orland Park?
I think so.
Right, the neighboring town over. So
Was
for
it?
those that have been to Tinley,
Yeah, because we couldn't get the right ones from Target.
yeah,
Right. We
yeah.
tried there. They didn't have
tried
them.
everywhere.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so we went through a lot of filters. We go through a lot of filters, a lot
Lots.
of coffee. We went through 70 gallons of water.
Wow.
At Tinley alone, yeah, crazy numbers. And we have to lug in 5, like the water cooler
5-gallon.
Jugs that you see at offices and stuff. That's how we get our water in. So we have to lug 70 gallons of water in 5-gallon jugs into the convention center. So
Wow.
yeah.
What is the ideal water to use for that kind of stuff? Use like distilled or?
Ideally, we use spring water.
Yeah,
Because
you want to drink distilled, bro.
yeah.
But you're not. It's not distilled once you put the coffee in it.
No, but so coffee, it's good to have some minerals back into it. You don't want like chlorine or anything like that, like your residential water. So
I like to
But
take a
any-
little bit of a tablet and throw it in mine. It tastes good.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, you can, gosh, what a rabbit hole you can go down with water and coffee. I mean,
Yeah.
you would think, oh my goodness, this is the simplest of recipes. You've got coffee and you've got water, but man, there's a rabbit hole. Like they make additive, like like you can get the little what do they call them? The little
Reptile
packets.
drops.
Well, yeah,
Similar.
it's like a little packet that you tear open and you pour in your minerals for your
Yeah.
coffee water. It's
Yeah.
crazy, man.
Yeah,
it's
it
it's
is.
crazy.
The
Like
stuff they put in for turtles.
Yeah, but it's we use spring water is
Yeah.
what we recommend using.
Wow. That's great.
All
That's good
kinds
stuff,
of stuff that you didn't know you needed to know about coffee.
Well, I mean, it is kind of the nice thing of like you can kind of go as crazy as you want to. Like if you want to go deep, you can go deep.
And
Same with
that's kind of the fun thing. I mean, it's for coffee. Coffee has for me like all of the. You can get as techie as you want to. You can get all the fancy equipment. You can be as simplistic as you want to. If you want to go old school and do like a siphon brewer or something like that, you can do that. Old school percolators and stuff. You can get the job done as fancy or as old school as you want to go. You can go down whatever rabbit hole. I think like I am a coffee professional. This is my full-time job. And I think I know coffee well. And then you see some people like you watch those TikTok videos or something about people doing stuff and see their coffee set up. And they're like, oh, I've got my water at exactly 78 degrees out the tap. And then I'm going to grind it this way and then distribute it this way. And then it's,
I mean,
it's at some point,
it's just hard to even imagine someone being that much more particular after being around you for these last couple of years.
Right. You see how good I am, like how lucky you are to have me.
It
and
could
how
be
bad
so
I
much
be.
worse.
I know.
I did. That was another. I did see it was a reel or something the other day, and it was just like that. It was like a 5-minute reel, and this guy was making a cup of coffee, and it was like measuring out the exact amount of water, the exact amount of coffee, and then putting it through like 2 different filters, and then putting it into a cup, and then like, it was just like this whole drawn out process. I'm like, bro, just drink the coffee, man. Like,
Yeah.
giving me anxiety just watching it. Just drink it, Jesus.
At some point, to me, you miss some of the enjoyment of the coffee because I want to drink the coffee. Now, there's some like I enjoy making a pour over, when I have the time because there's a process and there's a vibe that you get, and it's something like it's part of the process that's enjoyable and the sensory of it and everything. But I would lie to you to say that I make a pour over every morning. It's Mr. Coffee on, grounds in, and then we'll talk about something fancier later. But like I said, survival first.
Sure.
But
well, and then we know that McKendrick, if you come in one day and Trey has like a cardigan thrown over his shoulders, that's just put your resignation in.
I quit.
You quit. That's it.
I quit. I'm walking out.
You know, I've started to embrace the plaid. I resisted for as long as I could, but like that's like the quintessential roaster thing is that they only have plaid in their wardrobe, and I've noticed that plaid. I don't remember buying it, but it started just like sneaking into my wardrobe, and I think the universe is saying that I just need to embrace it. So
yeah, 1000%. I'm in.
Definitely that. Not a cardigan.
It's not great fun in the summers of Charleston to
but when you come in and you've got your hey dudes on with your cardigan tied around your neck, it's time to quit.
It's over.
It's over.
You'll see the Instagram post.
Yep.
Yeah.
Business for sale.
Yeah. When you come in with glasses that have no prescription in them, you're done.
Or no lenses.
No lenses. You're done. You're done. Oh man. What a departure this show's become.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, cigars, there's that same crowd. There's like the hardcore cigar nerd crowd, and a lot of it is fairly exhausting because it's like there's no way you tasted these notes that nobody else seemed to pick up on. Like kind of
it's like a competition, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to be better than everybody.
It's always a one up. They're going to one up you. Like, nope, I taste tomato and grapefruit.
Yeah.
Hey, I said that. What are you saying?
Kills me.
There's cigar smokers, and then there's guys that smoke cigars. And then there's like that echelon way higher up that just completely suck the fun out of it. That's the chondro guys that probably get into cigars.
Man, shots fired.
Oof.
Wow.
Oof. But yeah,
I'm just saying, if there was going to be anyone,
you're not wrong.
It's chondro guys, man, they're horrible.
That they are. And they're so successful, it annoys me.
Part of it's just jealousy.
Yeah, right. Envy. Oh man. So back to the Snakes and Stogies blend. Mm-hmm. It's live on the website. Feel free to get a bag so it can tantalize your taste buds. Is there any recommendations for home brewing this illustrious bean?
Yeah. So, well, let me first say, use the link that Justin provided.
There is one. It's down in the description as well.
Yeah. Make sure, don't just go directly to the website. We want to make sure we're supporting you guys. So that is an affiliate link. So make sure you use that link so that these guys get a kick of that proceed. So, but yeah, to answer your question, I mean, I think it's a really balanced coffee that you can pretty much use anywhere. In my head, as with most of our coffees, I design the coffees for filter coffee. So any of your drip coffee pour over or like your Mr. Coffee Maker, that's in my head what I'm going for. You can use it for pretty much anything though. As a medium roast, you're kind of on the edge of what most people would like for espresso. If you're thinking of like Starbucks espresso or something like that, it's going to be way lighter than that. So just keep that in mind. But in my head, I would use either like a pour over or Mr. Coffee, ideally. But you can use it however you want.
Excellent. Yeah, I did drip and pour over with the sample batch that you sent, and it came out fantastic.
Yeah.
So
good.
Yep. And our good friend Billy Jenkins says, "Crucify me, but will there be a K-cup with the Snakes and Stogies brand?"
That's a little bit tricky.
If there is enough demand, perhaps. So the tricky part with the K-cups is that we don't do them in house, so we have to ship the coffee off, and the co-packer has a minimum. So we only do that with our high volume stuff that we can move. If there is enough requests, it's like 25 pounds worth of coffee that we have to send out.
Wow.
So
that's a lot of pods.
it's a lot of pods. So so there's got to be quite a bit of demand for it. We're not against it by any means. It's just we have to make sure we can sell it. So
i.e. suck it up, Billy Jenkins.
But I will say Trey sent me some of the pods a while back, and the difference between those and sort of your standard K-Cup were amazing. Like the coffee, it just it had life to it. I feel like K-Cup stuff when I drink it now, there's like it's just a couple steps above like just having water that's hot. Like,
well, I got a question to go with that. So on most of these modern machines, especially if it's drip, there is a refillable pod basket. What volume of coffee do you recommend for the reusable pod, if you want to call it that?
As much as you can fit in there,
and it was
as much as you can fit in there.
Okay, so just pack the thing full.
Pack it as full as you can get. Yeah, because I mean the problem with a lot of those things, and like Schmitty was saying, is that your water to coffee ratio is really, really difficult to hit, and so you tend with those Keurigs to get a watery coffee than what you would get with a drip coffee maker or something like that. So the difference with our pods is that they're soft bottoms. They're not that hard plastic, and so we can actually put more coffee in there. So it has 40% more coffee than your traditional K-Cups, and that's because it's got that soft bottom to it. So yeah, with your reusable cups, you can absolutely do it. What I would recommend if you do that, and it's going to sound contradictory because usually people that use the Keurigs don't have grinders, but you could actually grind a little finer. If you have a grinder, so you can get the whole beans grind a little finer, because that's going to give you some more extraction as well. And then pack that reusable K-Cup pretty full, and that'll do you. That'll do the trick.
And that actually makes sense to me too, because I've had it where the little basket that goes inside of the removable vessel, I've packed that basket full, and the pressure from the water, it's almost too dense. And what happens is it winds up overflowing in that vessel, and now I have wet grinds everywhere. So,
yeah, you do have to be careful. I mean, when I say pack it full, I mean be realistic. Don't tamp it down with a spoon or something, right? But like,
give yourself a little.
Give it a healthy dose. Give it as much as you can without it causing issues, because you're going to want to make sure that you get as much coffee to that water ratio as you can.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I found that like the Keurigs that have like the 3 different settings for the amount, I guess, of water that it puts through it to get it to even taste the most coffee-like, you have to go with the least amount.
The least amount of water.
You're exactly right. Yep.
Then you run through I have to add like 3 K-Cups to a cup to get a sizable amount of coffee that actually.
And truthfully, you're still probably not getting the right kind of water to coffee ground ratio. I mean, but
so with coffee that we like, if you're doing a pour over, we recommend a 1 to 15 ratio. So 1 part coffee to 15 parts water. So you got to think of that. If you've got a 12-ounce cup of coffee, you almost need, so that would be like 1 to 12 if you used 1 ounce of coffee. There, those little K-Cups have nowhere near 1 ounce of coffee,
not even close
in it, right? So you're exactly right. You're going to need quite a bit of K-Cups to get to that ratio. So
fair enough.
Yep.
Good stuff, man. Smitty, you frozen? Oh, there you go.
Nope, we're good. Yeah, I was amazed with the pods when I tried them. I was like, this is what these should have been the entire time.
Mm-hmm. The hard part is that they're quite a bit more expensive to make with the filter bottoms, and you have to like nitrogen seal them, and so they, because of course with the filter bottoms there's nothing to hold in that freshness, it just would stale almost immediately. So we have to nitrogen seal the bags as well. So there's quite a bit more cost, right? So when you're talking about cost effectiveness in this commodity grade coffee, like we talked about earlier, they're sacrificing quality for that price point. which we have the luxury being a specialty coffee brand. We don't have to do that. So you get the freshest and the closest possible that we can to, the correct ratio of water to coffee.
Excellent.
Have y'all made any headway as far as like possibilities of Daytona happening, or is that kind of just a
I think probably not. We're pretty happy with our show schedule that we have. So right now we're only doing NARBC shows, and that's nothing to do with like other show circuits. It's just that with what we do, we have to have a lot of people through the door, and there's only a few shows in the country that can do that. And we have a really good relationship with Daytona only being one show a year. Building that relationship both with the venue as well as with the promoters is a bit. We have to have both on our side to do what we do,
right?
And so it can be a little bit of a negotiation process, because a lot of the venues, setting the promoters aside, a lot of the venues have rules and buyout clauses. Yeah, I was trying to think of the right words. Buyout clauses for their concessions.
Use your words, Trey.
I'm trying. It's late, man. I've had this coffee's not working.
Yeah, I was about to say drink more of your coffee.
Keep drinking coffee. Yeah, so they have buyout clauses on their concessions, and some of those we're able to work with and make it reasonable for us to be able to go down there and do those, and some of them are not. And so that is the situation currently with Daytona, is that we just don't have those relationships in place to think that we can do that in the near future. I would love to. It's the closest show that we have to us. But if it's not financially viable, we just can't. So
a daunting
Ocean Center wants you to buy them $6 Red Bulls.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's exactly right. And they have coffee on site, and the ones that have coffee, because I scouted it when we were there last year. I was like, okay, let's see what we can do here. And they had the coffee there, so that's going to be a struggle. And they were actually selling it, at least when I was there, pretty well for what it was. And so I think it's going to be a struggle. I mean, like with St. Louis, we have to buy out when we do an ARBC St. Louis, we have to buy out their concessions, and it's $500, and that hurts, right? Because that's a lot of $5 cups of coffee that we have to sell to make up for that.
Yeah.
So if Daytona is anywhere near that, we just couldn't do it. So
yeah, wow.
But the other shows definitely make up for it. I mean, like we were talking about with Tinley, and so Tinley's a huge show for us. We do really well at Tinley. We do Dallas. Well, so Arlington we did last year, or in September. That show's moving to Dallas. So we're gonna try the new venue in Dallas. Yeah, so they're moving it to the is it the Dallas Center? Is it what's called?
I don't remember.
It's like downtown Dallas. So very excited for that. The Arlington show was in a great location for anybody that's ever been there. It's a really nice. It's like literally across the street from the Texas Ranger Stadium, literally across the street, or like maybe 2 blocks from AT&T Stadium. Is it AT&T Stadium?
AT&T, yeah.
Where the Cowboys play. So I mean, it's prime time location. There was a lot of other stuff I think happening in that area the last show, so we didn't get a huge amount of traffic in, especially looking for coffee. But hopefully in Dallas we'll continue to do better. St. Louis is a great show for us as well. So
it's getting better each year.
So yeah, come check us out at an NARBC show near you, and we will have the bourbon barrel aged coffee there that you can try.
That's awesome. That's a reason to go in itself.
That's a reason to go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when you guys do an away show like that, do you guys mail your stuff and fly? Do you drive?
They load up
the van
and hit the road.
Yep. We load the van. So
we're between 13 to 17 hours.
Dallas is set. Was Arlington 17? Yeah.
Wow.
Tinley, Chicago is 14.
I was
15?
about to say St. Louis was about 12 and a half, 13. So Tinley's like right in the middle of.
And the only one that we don't do in one day. So we drive to Chicago to Tinley Park in one day. We drive to St. Louis in one day. We can't drive to Dallas in one day.
Yeah.
We have to stop.
Yeah.
17 is too long. It's
dangerous.
So, but But yeah, so yeah, we load up the van, we drive. In Chicago, we took 4 people, so we took 2 cars, but sometimes it's just us. It's nice.
Nice.
Alternate driving.
I was joking with Jake that the next Tenley, I'm gonna drive up there to your neck of the woods. I'm gonna hide out in your van until you guys leave, and then I'll pop out when we get to Tenley.
I mean,
he's
that's
like,
come on.
You ain't hiding anywhere. I was like, fuck you.
I mean, we may or may not have hidden McKendrick in the back of the van in Arlington because we
shall not speak of these things.
You jumped out in the parking lot of the gas station and tried to get me in trouble.
A bunch of Texans threw me back in there and said, "Where are you going?" What the hell?
He was like, help me, and nobody looked.
Kidnap me.
That's horrible. Oh, that's horrible.
Not a single person came to help. So yeah, you're more than welcome to come with us if you want to ride in the back of the van.
Oh, geez. Yeah, put you to work, Smitty.
We will absolutely
we'll
put you
definitely put you to work.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll do it.
Just have your wife teach you.
You'll be the t-shirt guy. We'll put you on merch.
He might be able to handle some hot chocolate.
No, hot chocolate. Yeah, there you go.
This is like the
Packets.
Swiss Miss, right? You just
packets. Yep, we got you.
Nice.
Are you guys is hot chocolate as particular of a process as coffee?
No. But that
surely there's a ratio that's right, though.
I mean, whatever the packet says, it's not that complicated. We can't. So we're in the process of developing our own hot chocolate, but we haven't quite released it yet. As with any, like I'm sure you had with the tobacco as well, there's some legal stuff when you start mixing ingredients and things like that you have to overcome. So we're working through that. We also have some tea that's coming out soon. Again, when you start mixing things in-house that you don't produce, there are some laws that you have to overcome. So we're working through those, but stay on the lookout for Cold-Blooded Caffeine branded tea and hot chocolate. We've actually launched the tea. It's not on the website, but you can get it from a show. We have it in-house. If we are in person, we have several types of tea. So we have a green tea. It's a gunpowder Formosa green tea. It's very nice green tea from Taiwan. We have an oolong tea. Again, a Taiwanese oolong. We have Kemoon black tea. That's very nice. And then we have a Lapsang black tea, which if you've never had Lapsang tea, it's a smoked black tea. So if you like Scotch or if you like cigars, Lapsang tea, it's a very nice. It smells like a campfire. It's amazing. Right now you can only get that from us in person because if we're in person, it is considered still like a cottage industry. So we don't, but when we start shipping it across state lines, that's when it becomes a problem. So you can get it from us at a show for now until we get everything squared away. And then you should be able to get it on the website reasonably soon. So
awesome. Yeah. That Lapsang is fantastic. I feel like there's a lot of companies starting to get into that because the more peaty stuff is becoming more popular. But I've had some that were just atrociously, like we talked about the liquid smoke earlier,
goes
like
a long way.
real bad.
Yeah.
But I've had some other ones that were fantastic. Now, are you guys doing is it just loose ground or are you doing whole leaf or what?
No, so it's loose leaf. So the Lapsang is coarsely chopped.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, the green tea is gunpowder, so it's rolled. It's rolled leaves. I can't remember what the other two. The oolong, I can't remember what the other two are off the top of my head.
Okay.
They're not whole leaves. None of them are whole leaves.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly the coarseness of the leaf chop. None of them are super fine, but and all of them are loose leaf for now. Again, there's some, you get into these nuances of manufacturing where getting them from loose leaf into tea bags is a bit of an investment in equipment to do that. So we'll work on that later, but right now it's just all loose leaf. So
Awesome, man. That's fantastic. I had
And
no
we
idea.
don't process anything with the tea, just for transparency's sake. Like we bring it in and we repackage it, but it's all roasted. For the ones that are roasted or oxidized, they're oxidized somewhere else.
Okay.
We bring it in. So
Still awesome.
Yep. It's very nice tea. It's another learning curve going from coffee to tea. It's a whole other world. It sounds adjacent, but it's a very interesting learning curve.
It's like pipe tobacco to cigars. Similar, but not really. You know.
Yeah.
Billy Jenkins asked about the mushroom coffee and what that was about.
Trying to be healthy, I guess. I don't know. We don't do any mushroom coffees.
I don't do mushrooms, period. I just got a thing about eating stuff that grows on dead things. I don't.
Yeah, man. Like I'm not a fungi kind of guy.
I don't have a good answer for you. I mean, it's kind of the same thing with the mud coffee. I think it's like people's attempts to make a coffee substitute that doesn't have the caffeine in it or that has some health benefits to it.
And what's the point?
But try to maintain
but
the taste.
Or come as close to it as you can.
Well, there's also a reason why there's only a certain kind of people that drink kava. So we keep them to the side.
Yeah. I mean, it's to each their own. You can do whatever you want. That's kind of what I've gained through this whole experience. I started out with coffee pretty narrow-minded and drink black coffee or die kind of thing, but to me, as long as you're enjoying it, like don't force yourself to drink something that you don't enjoy, but as long as you're enjoying it,
that is not, those are not the words of Trey from like 2 years ago.
I know.
Nope, not at all.
Whatever. Go for it. That's fine.
If you put milk in it, you're a fucking asshole.
That's right. I mean,
exactly.
I have
my words, not
said
his.
that.
No, my words, not his. My words, not his.
But I mean, when we did our first shows, we came with black coffee and little canister of cream and sugar, and we hid them behind the table because I didn't want anybody to have them.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, you want French vanilla in your coffee? Sure, why not?
Yeah,
how many pumps of butterscotch syrup would you like?
Right. Yeah, that's right. So I mean, as long as but again, it comes down to I enjoy seeing the people happy. I enjoy seeing people get what they want, and coffee is something that's a luxury. You don't have to have it, so enjoy it when you drink it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the flavored cigar thing for me, man. People come in and look for them. It's like, why do you want that?
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean, I get it. I don't drink it. Like this is black coffee all day long, nothing else. But
I will be honest. I do get white girl wasted on the pumpkin spice. I do.
I've tried. Okay, so let's talk about pumpkin spice because I need somebody to tell me why this is good. Like legitimately.
We tried making it. I remember trying to make it at one of the shows, and I said we need to try.
I just don't think it's for me. Like I'm trying to go in with an open mind, but it tastes like leaves.
Trey says he's Caucasian, but he's not that Caucasian.
Right, right. Like that's about as pasty white as you can get. You see how but I can't.
Well, all right. Let me just
it's like a candle. I don't know. I haven't quite.
So there are certain pumpkin spices like that I just won't go because it's just fake chemical nonsense. But
all right,
something about and it's not even a pumpkin flavor per se, because let's be real. I mean, pumpkin pie is delicious, but like eating raw pumpkin or eating cooked pumpkin doesn't taste like fucking pumpkin pie.
Right. Right.
It's something about the cinnamon, the nutmeg that is, I don't want to say indicative of this time of year. It instills a vibe or a feeling, but at the same time, I think it is also because it's seasonal. You're not having cinnamon and nutmeg and whatever other actual spices they're putting into it, right? Except for this time of year. So it's almost a built-up anticipation, if you will.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I don't get that excited about it.
So are you making it yourself, Phil, or are you buying it out? And if so, what's your go-to?
So I tried making it myself and it came out okay. I even went so far as to one of my coworkers wound up finding me like the pump simple syrup shit that they serve at Starbucks, like their like secret bottle, because they will not sell that shit. And I don't know what Starbucks does different than me, but it tasted atrocious. It was like poison. It was like just a noxious fumes coming out of the cup. You can get the Coffee Mate and you can get the Starbucks brand creamer, but the problem is it's just sugar shit. You know what I mean? It's just sugar shit. So what I've come to do is do a heavy cream in a little basin, whip it up, cinnamon, nutmeg, maybe a little sugar, just whip it up, and then just froth it over kind of like a cappuccino. And to me, that comes out pretty all right, but I'm not having that every day. Like that's a non-alcoholic libation. You know what I mean?
Hot or iced?
Hot, always hot.
Okay.
Yeah, always hot. So
I have to give it a try. I want to like it. Like I want to know what everyone else is experiencing.
Yeah,
he wants to know what the joy feels like.
Yeah, I need a little more joy in my life.
I mean, let's be real. Okay,
spices.
I am not a Starbucks guy. I have a huge problem paying $9 for a cup of coffee. But if I go to Starbucks, let's say people want to meet there and have coffee and hang out, whatever, and it's that time of year, I will get a pumpkin spice latte with no whipped cream, and I usually order it at, dare I say, kid temperature because I have dainty little wussy lips.
No, that's the way to do it.
And so for those of you who are unaware, Starbucks brews all their coffee at 197 Fahrenheit. Their kid temperature is 140. So by the time I've gotten it from the barista, I've sat down at the table, I took the lid off, whatever.
Only second degree burns and not third.
Well, no, but
ideal coffee is like 135, right?
Yeah,
you want to be drinking coffee about 135. So if you're getting it temp, you can drink it right away.
Right. And that's my whole thing is I don't want to wait to drink my coffee because now things are settling and whatever else. So I will go and I'll get a pumpkin spice latte with no whipped cream at kid temp, and it's delicious. But like going to like Dunkin' Donuts and getting a pumpkin coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, it's just sugar sweetener shit. So,
dude, when we were in Boston, I was amazed at the number of Dunkin' Donuts that were up there. Like I was completely unaware that apparently like Dunkin' Donuts up north is
a cult,
is the thing. Like, I mean, it was unbelievable. There was like ones across the street from one another. Like
the Northeast runs on Dunkin'.
Oh my god! It was amazed. I was like, "There's one." No, it's like there's another one and another one and another one. I was like, "Holy crap!" And apparently, Katie's like, "Yeah, they take their Dunkin' pretty seriously up here." I'm like, "Why?"
Yeah,
it's not good.
Yeah,
to each his own.
Yeah,
well, that's what we're trying to do is just share a little bit about better coffee with people. You make your own decisions. That's fine. But know that there's alternatives out there.
There's better options.
You don't like burned.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I always say that a lot of people don't even know what fresh roasted coffee tastes like. Like if you're buying stuff off the shelf, who knows how long it was on a truck, at a distributor, package. Like you're probably already at 60, 90 plus days by the time it hits the shelf. So the freshness of coffee is experienced in that like first 30 days. If you don't catch it in that window, then you've probably never tasted fresh roasted coffee unless you're getting it from a roaster.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't a big coffee drinker. And then when Katie and I started dating, we had a local roaster here that would get all kinds of cool stuff, like, you know, some Indian stuff, Uganda, some Brazil. Just he'd regularly like rotate stuff from all over the world. And like that was sort of my introduction to like, okay, this is what it's supposed to be. Because she was diehard, like Starbucks is the devil. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Don't do it. And after going to the local roaster and stuff, I was like, okay, that's why I've never, like, coffee has never done much for me in the past.
And I'll say this too, not to cut you guys off, excuse me, but when you order cold-blooded caffeine and you open the box, like we said, I know we said it like 10 times on this episode, but when those aromas hit you, you're like, this is completely different than everything I've ever had. And just, you don't know any better. You honestly, until you get real deal shit, pardon my French, you just don't know any better. So.
Well, and it's because, I mean, when you place an order, I'm going to roast it the next day, right? And you're going to get it, like, there's nothing that sits out here.
Right.
You can look through our warehouse. There's no coffee that's sitting. Well, there's a little bit left over from St. Louis, but normally there's no coffee that's sitting out there for more than, 2 or 3 days before it gets into your hands. Right. So it's place the order, we roast it, and it gets to you.
Yeah.
So it's
and going back to our herpetological community, right?
Mhm.
We love animals, we love natural history, and so many of us have learned about other cultures and other countries and landscapes and everything from
Roxy.
oh, somebody's got fireworks going on. Sorry. My dog's going nuts. So many people have learned. What's that?
Thanksgiving fireworks?
It's Florida, man. Who knows? So we learn about all these other cultures and the way they do things, and we have YouTube now and the internet, and I love learning about other coffees from other cultures, from other countries, and how they brew it. And just like the Greek, the Turkish, the Indonesian, and when you go online and you type in West Mozambique coffee, and you see the guy sitting on the ground with the Bunsen burner and a little pewter mug, right? And he's just whipping it up, sitting cross-legged on the floor with a little Bunsen burner, white gas stove. Like, try it. You may love it. You know?
Yeah. It's so interesting. I mean, coffee is so universal. Like, try and think of other things that are so embedded in so many different cultures and have been for so long.
Yeah.
Right.
Hundreds of years.
It's really amazing. And they've all evolved differently, but they've all, they all maintained some level of, dare I say, dependency on coffee throughout all that time. But we talk about it all the time, like how many hands have touched this coffee. Like, it came from Colombia, or it came from Brazil. Specialty coffee is a lot of it's hand picked, so someone physically picked that cherry off and put it into that fermentation tank. Somebody physically pulped that coffee through that machine. I touch the coffee as I roast, as I'm we in the United States are touching it, roasting it, and imparting our influence on that coffee. And it's just throughout the supply chain, so many different cultures and countries and experiences have touched that coffee. And it's just, it's fun to think about. I mean, there's not a whole lot of products out there that are that tied to different cultures and important to different cultures.
Yeah.
Than coffee is, and tea to some extent as well. But I don't think even tea is quite as prevalent as coffee across the world. So
I'd agree. And even to go so far as to say the brew method, regardless of the coffee itself, because so many people are like, I'm not a big coffee drinker. And then you introduce them to like a Cuban pot, and they're like, pour over Cuban pot. And they're like, wow, this tastes totally different. I'm like, well, it's the same beans. You happen to prefer it that way, or if you're like the connoisseur himself, Mr. Eric Burke, and you have your own portable French press thermos that you bring on your herp trip, rock and roll,
and that's the thing that we get all the time, like the question earlier about Greek coffee or Turkish coffee or Italian coffee. Understand that these countries don't make, like, they don't grow coffee in these countries, right? So the beans are the same. It's all about their interpretation or their development of that coffee over generations. How they were introduced to the coffee, like how did it get to them? The whole history of coffee is really interesting. And how it developed and colonialization and things like that. It's just a whole history unto itself, that you can just go down rabbit holes on a lot of different things. But coffee is one of those things where you can really deep dive into, and it's just learn way more than you thought you needed to know about a little bean. So
it's the way to do it, man. I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, they say it takes that a cigar from planting to rolling goes through 300 hands.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, coffee's a similar idea. We don't have like the hand touch of the rolling of the tobacco that you guys do, but certainly from hand picking it to hand processing it and roasting it.
You guys are the rollers.
Well, we are.
Yeah.
We have a machine that rolls it for us, though.
Right. To be clear,
I do have to know, like, when you guys are vending like Tinley and stuff, how many people walk up and try to give you like the laundry list order that they would get at like Starbucks of double upside down, mochaccino, unicorn blood.
I can't order a caramel macchiato.
we get a fair amount, and we do have to explain to people, because we only do pour overs at shows, so we have to simplify our process. So we get a lot of people asking for like lattes or things like that, and we have to talk about the difference between a latte and a pour over and espresso as a brew method.
I can give you some coffee, like a cup of coffee.
As here's coffee, yeah. but we try. I mean, so we get people that ask for a lot of different milk substitutes and things like that. So we do bring oat milk because we want to be conscious of people that have allergies to lactose. So we bring 2 types of milks, but we do occasionally get the person that wants to do a skinny half calf, almond milk with a side of whipped. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up, but I can't really even think of anybody that has been like
nothing too extreme.
No, we get half and half. We get asked for half and half or heavy cream a lot.
Yeah.
And again, we have to simplify because we're traveling 16 hours to a lot of these shows, so we have to simplify what we can bring. But for the most part, everyone, I really don't think there's been anybody that's been unreasonable about asking for stuff. Usually when we explain what we're doing, they're like, oh, cool, I'll take that. And everybody's happy. And I think that's really the nice part. One, a lot of people don't expect to have a specialty coffee vendor at a Reptile Expo. So they're not like going into Starbucks with their standard order and getting upset when you don't have it. Right.
Yeah.
So they're willing to accept what you have. And 2, people are interested in the experience, right? So a lot of people haven't seen a pour over system, or like when we're doing Chemexes at a table, it's an interesting, almost like a show in addition to just getting the coffee. So people are interested in the process and learning about coffee, and that's the fun part.
Excellent.
Yeah, we had a pour over for a while. I don't know what happened to ours, but might have to get Katie one for Christmas or something.
Yeah, they're definitely fun to have around. Definitely fun to play around with.
Yeah, man, for sure.
We sell them on the Cold Blooded Caffeine website.
I say we got some
coldbloodedcaffeine.com if you want to check them out.
Some brand
shameless plug.
Chemexes.
Nice.
So if I'm trying to convince my boss to get on board with getting a laser engraver at work, if we did that, would there be anything Cold-Blooded Caffeine related that you guys would want engraved?
We could absolutely do that. Yes.
There's no one in my area doing that.
Really?
Like no one. There's probably some people that do it like out of their house or something. But unless you know someone
as a business,
there's no one that is doing it currently. There used to be one or
so
2
popular.
Wow. And so I've been hammering my boss with like links and stuff and like we're just
we can absolutely do. We do a lot of like donation items for like USARC when we go to shows and stuff. We'll do like glasses, like shot glasses or something, and the barrel aged coffee, or like we did the whiskey decanter one time, and some of that barrel aged coffee. So yeah, we can absolutely work with you on that.
It's ridiculous. Like, it's crazy to me that no one's doing it. And I've had people come in and ask, like, I've got a couple of restaurants downtown that we already do a lot of work for. And they're like, if you guys started doing glasses, like one restaurant in particular is like, if I start, I can guarantee you the others, because they all know each other, all the owners and stuff.
Right.
I guarantee you the other like 10 downtown are going to come doing the same thing or wanting to do the same thing. So trying to get on there, and then that would make, if we end up doing more like Snakes and Stogies lighters, that would make that process a little easier and probably a little cheaper.
Yeah,
for sure. So
he's definitely, I think he's interested. It's just a matter right now of trying to figure out like, what do we need that's going to sort of do what we plan to do with it, but not be so much that's going to be overkill. Like, we don't want to get like a massive like industrial machine that we're only going to use for small stuff,
Right.
So it's I haven't been taking my foot off the gas on that one.
I think it makes sense.
It's smart, yeah,
for what you guys do. Yeah.
And then he also talked about like getting a pad press. So being able to do like rubber stamping basically on glasses and all kinds of stuff. So trying to expand outside of just shirts and embroidery. So
makes sense.
Taking advantage.
Well, gentlemen, we're at the 2-hour mark. Is there anything else we want to touch base on?
If you haven't gotten your coffee fixed at this point, I don't know what else I can
Yeah,
do.
no, right? Yeah. I feel like this is one of the only episodes we've done where it's mostly not animal talk.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
we can
cool.
talk about animals if you want to.
Yeah,
but
no, it's good.
I don't
it's
think
good.
you bring me on to talk about
Yes.
I still want to come up and see that fly river turtle, man.
Yeah. Come on,
When I saw that video, I was like, when the hell did he get that?
it's the freaking coolest thing.
Awesome.
I'm in love with that thing.
Dude, they're
Like,
so-
I love all my animals.
I was
Okay,
about to
like,
say,
let me
yeah.
like not just ostracize every other animal I have, but if there's an animal that I'm just going to go in there and stare at, it's that one. Like we all have that one that you're just like,
Of course.
So, and yeah, so I've got the Fly River on one side of the aisle, and my wife, I may have bribed my wife with a Cuban rock iguana. So to get they came as a package deal. They just threw them in together. I don't know what happened. Right? Hey, look, a Fly River.
Yeah,
Oh, look, a Cuban rock iguana. Look
I was
over there.
walking out the door and they just handed it to me before I could even say anything.
So they're right beside each other, and they're honestly two of my favorites that we've gotten in recently. But yeah, come on down anytime. I mean, I've really recently gotten into like a Phelsuma kick, like the day geckos. Yeah, so I've gotten quite a few of those recently. The Lygodactylus williamsi, the electric blue day geckos, got some of those. So yeah, fun stuff. We can talk about animals if you want to, but
McKendrick, what are you getting? You got to get you something.
We got to figure out what he is. I've been trying to. He needs to be like
talking about this for
the
like
guy.
months.
Like I don't know the guy with the rooster, or like I don't know. He's like he needs a thing, right? If he's only gonna have one animal, we got to figure out what that thing
guy.
is.
Gotta be
the ferret guy.
the ferret guy.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah, we got to. We haven't nailed it down yet, but we need to figure out what his thing is.
I'm waiting for the universe to give me a sign.
Show him some Muller's chameleons.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
I feel like I could totally see him at the show with a big Muller's on his shoulder, just pouring coffee, man.
That would be cool. That would be cool. Okay, we'll work on that.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Out of what Trey's got, at least there at the shop currently, like what's your favorite?
Yeah, what are you leaning towards?
I'm not leaning.
He's
Honduran.
He likes the hunt. You like the Honduran, all right?
Honduran milk steak.
Yeah,
It was cool.
Yeah,
it was,
we've moved a lot of stuff. We've changed a lot. Oh no, the Honduran's back. I forgot we brought the Honduran back.
Honduran milk steaks in the shop right now.
Yeah. What do we have here?
Bearded dragon.
No, the frilled dragon.
Frilled dragon.
Oh,
sorry.
goodness. Get out of here.
And then
Can't take him anywhere.
The emerald tree skinks.
Yeah, the tree skinks.
Those are fun.
Those are cool too.
Yeah. They're recent. Well, I've had them for a long time, but I moved them in because I had 2 frilled dragons in here, and I was like, no need for 2 frilled dragons in here. So the emerald tree
cool,
skinks
man.
are
Still cool.
So yeah, cool stuff.
How many of those do you have?
The emeralds, 5.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're in a, what is that, 36 by 24 Exoterra, like the big long one. Yeah, there's 5 of them in there. They're cool.
You gonna get any eggs out of them?
I have before. Yeah. I haven't really tried to raise them. I mean, I don't really do a whole lot of breeding anymore, so they just lay in the substrate. I've seen them before. They've been fertile, but they don't tend to. I haven't hatched any out. I haven't tried to hatch any out. So I don't have time to raise babies and do the coffee and everything. So I've transitioned to being more of a keeper now than a breeder. So
fair enough.
Yeah, understandable. You guys did some events recently though up that way, right? Have you guys seems like you've picked up on those a little bit?
Events like what?
Like local stuff in the area and
we did. Well, so we did the one last week.
It's a private event.
It's a private, we did. So we can do pretty much anything. So like our show setup, we can do travel setups for anybody. So like we did Canova had a Patreon event a couple weeks ago. So we went down to Gainesville, Georgia, and did the Canova event. Did a full pour over setup there. We had an insurance agency here in town that did like a customer appreciation day. So we came out and did a full setup with them. Those like we don't sell coffee there. Like they pre-book us and pay us
Right.
like whatever the head count is. It's kind of like catering, right? So okay, you got 50 people here. Estimate $5 a cup and $250 and we'll come out and set up coffee or something like that. So yeah, those are fun.
Nice.
It's a different vibe than a Reptile show for sure, which is kind of nice change of pace every once in a while. But at less risk of me coming home with geckos, so that's not a 0% chance, but certainly a less chance than when we
I didn't even think of that. Like, you guys are vending at shows. How are you not coming home with half the show?
It's hard. It's hard. We don't get to walk around a whole lot, usually, especially at the bigger shows. It is a struggle. I was gonna say, because I've succumbed. I really only do one show a year now. I really just do Daytona just because I work so much, and I work Saturdays. So unless I can dedicate a Sunday to go to a show, I really don't go. And when I do go to Daytona, I'm obviously coming home with stuff. So I can't imagine you guys working as many shows as you do. It's wild. It's well, and the shows that we do are like the top shows in the country, right? So it's all the big guns have come out, and you're like, oh yeah. It helps that I like odd stuff, so like I don't get in the trap of the ball python or the crested gecko trap or anything like that. So it has to be pretty specific stuff that I'm looking for. So like I knew going to St. Louis that the Felsumas, the Grandis, the giant day geckos, I knew I was interested in those, but I knew I was only interested in blue bloods or something like crazy like that. And of course, Rep Room, the originator of the blue bloods, was there, and we're like, okay, fine. I knew walking in the door I was going to come home with something.
That's how it is.
So but I kind of have a list in my head when we go to a show, and it's a very specific list. Like if this one specific animal is there, then I'll get it. But it's only one thing per show. I try to limit myself to one animal per or one pair or something per show. So you have to, or I'd be bankrupt. I wouldn't make any money at the shows.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, 2:15. This episode was brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. Facebook, Instagram. Use code THN at checkout. Save yourself 10%. Get yourself a rack. Get a cage. Get both. You won't be disappointed regardless. All top-notch stuff. Fully vouched for by the THN crew. And then go over to FullBeastApparel.com. Get yourself some shirts. Don't be naked. Don't make it weird. Use code THN there. Get 15% off your order. Black Friday sale is going to happen. Going to add some stuff. It'll be good, so be on the lookout for that.
Are you launching at midnight on Thursday or no?
No, it'll probably be up like maybe Wednesday or Thursday afternoon or evening. I'm not. It's not going to be like a hardcore like you have 12 hours to buy. It'll probably be like through Monday.
Okay, cool.
I'm not going to complicate it. Just something, Puget Sound Pythons, also give them a follow. Facebook, Instagram. If you're in the Pacific Northwest, they vend the Pacific Northwest Reptile Show, I believe is the acronym that they use. But go check them out. They've got an awesome setup there. Again, they're going to have a pretty busy season from the sounds of it coming up here soon. So stay in the loop with them and what they're doing. And then Cold-Blooded Caffeine. That link below. Get yourself some coffee. Get that new Snakes and Stogies blend. Not even if you just need coffee, but if you need some supplies to make said coffee, also available.
Yep. And we're going to be difficult with our Black Friday event and only have it on Black Friday. So
nice. Get it while you can.
Yep.
That's right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm lazy. I don't have to have Black Friday to do a sale. I actually need to probably do something a little more regularly than I do, but
I think we're going to do Black Friday and like a different one for Black Friday and a different one for Cyber Monday. So
cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
it's all the same. Big retail trying to get everybody in the door.
Yep.
Shop local, people.
Yep.
Small business.
Unless it's us and we're not local to you, you can still shop with us.
That's right.
That's
right.
fair.
Yeah.
Shop
For
small. Let's
Shop small.
There you go.
say that.
Support the
not
entrepreneurs.
shop- right.
Yep.
Obviously, with Thursday being a holiday, we will not be recording THP, so we will be back Cyber Monday. Unless
Heck
there
yeah.
was something going on. I don't know if you're going out of town or if there's anything happening.
I'll be here with bells on.
Nice. All right. Well, we will see everybody then. Have a good evening. We'll see you later.
Bye.